Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? A few days ago I went to the Palace Theatre to see a show called The Commitments, and this is the programme for it. It was a very last minute thing. I wasn't expecting to be going so soon. I've been wanting to see this show for quite a while since it opened last year, but I haven't been able to find a cheap way to go because they don't do day seats or any kind of discounts, and I'm not willing to pay too much for a show when I haven't seen it before. I mean, for my first time I usually don't want to pay more than like, what, £20 or something, and I simply couldn't find tickets for it, so I was kind of giving up on seeing it, if I'm honest. But then on Wednesday evening I randomly managed to get a free ticket for it, like literally a couple of hours before the show started. It was very unexpected, but it made me really happy, and I was like, yay, I'm gonna go and see the show now. I mean, who wouldn't? If it's a free ticket, of course they're gonna go and see a show. Anyway, the view, as you can see here, was actually pretty good for a free ticket. I was in the Grand Circle at the Palace Theatre, which is somewhere that I've never sat before, and I could see pretty well, and I'm usually scared of heights, but you know, the view was good enough and I wasn't scared at all. Anyway, so let's get to the show itself. The show is set in Ireland, Dublin, in the 1980s. And it's about a group of guys, young guys, who turn into music because of the political situation at the time, the social situations of the time, just the fact that at that time their city, their country wasn't at its best. And so they've got quite a lot of problems, and you know, because of that, music kind of brings them together and it gives them a way to escape their problems and stuff. And yeah, that's how they form this band called The Commitments. And they work really hard and they make amazing music, and apparently the idea is that the music that they make comes from their heart and their genuine love for music rather than the want to become a celebrity like most young people do now. So kind of the main thing, I think, is about the true, real music of that time and how that's important and how that's changed and times have changed and how people don't really care about that, you know, genuine music anymore. It is a jukebox musical. I mean, all the songs in the show are songs that people are probably going to be familiar with. They weren't written originally for this show, they were around before the musical came about. But that's the point, you know, because it's kind of like a historical show in a way. So they sing songs from that era, from the 1980s, the music from that era of Ireland, basically. So that's pretty much the main story. I mean, it's literally about some guys who form a band and decide to make music as a living, I suppose, because they want to forget about their problems. That's literally it. The main guy in the band, the lead singer, is called Deco, and he's played by Cillian Donnelly. He was fantastic. He was so right and perfect for the part. Now, I'd seen Cillian in quite a few of the shows before this. I saw him in Les Mis and I saw him in Phantom as Raoul, and I actually really liked him as Raoul. He's probably one of my favourite Raouls. I also saw him as Tony in Billy Elliot, and I have to admit he wasn't one of my favourite Tonys, but he was still good. But in this, he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, his voice, his acting, just everything about his performance was completely right, in my opinion. That voice, I mean, I never knew he had such an amazing voice. It was just so good. I could listen to it all the time. It was amazing. Jimmy is another one of the main characters in the band, and he's actually the one who decides to start the band in the first place. And he was played by Dennis Grindle. He was fantastic as well. He doesn't do much singing, obviously, because he's more like kind of the manager of the band, but just his acting alone, I thought, was perfect. He was very convincing in the role, and you could see the desire in him to kind of form this band and make things work and get everybody together, and I don't know, he seemed to have a great relationship with everybody else in the band as well. I thought he was brilliant. In fact, everybody in the band Commitments, including some of the girls, because there are some girls in the show that sing some songs as well, were great. Really, really great. I can't fault any of them. All of them had amazing voices, and some of them actually played some instruments on stage themselves, and they were incredible, of course. Yeah, the cast for the show I thought was great, an all-round good cast. Looking at my programme right now, I'm really glad that they do this thing. It's like I can't call it an understudy slate, but it's like a cast of the performance that I saw that night, basically, which not many shows in England do this in London, but I think it's really great because you get to see who was on and stuff. There are two actors that play Deco on a weekly basis. I mean, Deco's part is quite a demanding role, I suppose, vocally, so yeah, there's two people who do it. Cillian Donnelly is obviously the main guy, but there's also Ian McIntosh, who is the alternate Deco, and he does 2 shows a week as far as I know. Now, obviously, I saw Cillian Donnelly in the part, who's kind of the main Deco, but I'd quite like to see Ian McIntosh as well at some point, because I've heard some great things about his performance. We did have a couple of understudies the night that I went, but there weren't any of the main characters as far as I know. I think Jimmy's mum and dad were both understudies, but that's pretty much it. Everybody else was the main lead characters. So yeah, cast-wise, I thought it was brilliant. Everybody was great. The sets, I think, is another strong point about the show. I thought they were very relevant for the time frame in Ireland. A lot of the scenes are done in like some of the guys' rooms, like just their houses and stuff, and they looked really great. It looked very authentic. Not that I've lived in Ireland or anything, but it just looked like a typical like Irish guy's bedroom. Yeah, I just thought it was done really well. And obviously there's another kind of major set in the show as well, and that's the rehearsal room, which is where they do a lot of their practice and stuff, and they play a lot of the songs. And I thought that was done very well as well. The Palace Theatre is quite a big theatre. I mean, the stage is quite big, so yeah, there was loads that they could do with it, and I thought they did everything they could with the stage. They made the most of basically all the space that they had available, and yeah, I enjoyed the set. It really kind of made me feel like I was in Ireland, in Dublin, and I've been to Ireland before, I've been to Dublin before a couple of times, I've been to Belfast before. Watching the show, I genuinely kind of felt like I was in Ireland. It just looked like a very Irish setting, and I mean, I know that's the point of it, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is that they did a really, really good job with it, and it just did what it had to do, which is, you know, it made people feel like they were watching a completely Irish story. Anyway, the songs, and like I said, the songs may sound familiar to some of you. If you've seen the film The Commitments, which came out several years ago, I hadn't seen it before I went to see the show, so I was completely new to it. But if you've seen the film, I suppose you'd obviously be familiar with some of the songs because you know them, they were in the film as well. But even I knew some of the songs, and I hadn't seen the film beforehand, so I'm guessing they're just genuinely popular songs. They're very, very nice songs. They're all really, really good songs, and obviously when you have a live band on stage playing live, which is one of my favourite things ever, it makes the songs even more enjoyable. Like, it's just so nice to see, like, people on stage, making music together live, you know, playing instruments and singing live and playing well and singing well, and I absolutely love that. One of my slight disappointments with the show was that in Act 1 there isn't enough songs or complete songs. They do a few songs in Act 1, but it's usually mainly like just part of a song or just a little bit of singing. When you don't get like complete songs in Act 1 really, which is what I was hoping for. But Act 2 makes up for it, because at the end of Act 2 especially, they sing like 3 full songs, and it's amazing. Everybody's on their feet dancing. It's just really, really fun. Another thing that I have to say is that parts of it, like minor parts of it, especially in Act 1 again, were a little bit on the boring side for me personally. I don't necessarily know why exactly. I mean, it's probably because of the story, because the story is quite thin. There's not really much to it, so like to try and make a whole long musical with that kind of simple story, I think meant that they had to kind of drag some of the scenes a little bit and maybe have a bit too much dialogue or something. I don't know. But it was still fun to watch. I mean, one of the best things about the show actually, which is something that I wasn't expecting, was that it was a really funny show. There were some really fun comedy moments in the show that made everybody laugh and made me laugh, and I loved that. I love Irish people and I love Irishness, and I don't know, I know that sounds a bit creepy, but I've always loved Irish people and Ireland in general. So yeah, it was just really nice to see, because like most of the actors on stage as well, as far as I know, are genuinely Irish themselves. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And you can see the Irish humour in the dialogue and the way they talk to each other on stage, and it was really funny. I definitely really enjoyed that, the whole Irishness of it and the humour. I don't really know what else to say, to be honest. I'll just give you some of the songs they sang in the show, in case you're wondering what songs they are. Satisfaction is one of the songs that they sing, and it's a good one. Try Little Tenderness is like the last song that they sing in Act 2, and everybody loved that one. It was just amazing. It was like, oh my god, this is so good, and Killian Donnelly's voice obviously was just perfect. There's Think, Knock on Wood, You Keep Me Hanging On. There's so many songs basically in the show that when you listen to them, when you hear them, you'd recognise them. And I was quite surprised by that, because I didn't think that I'd recognise so many of them. But I mean, even if you don't recognise them, they're such good songs that when you listen to them, you'll love them no matter what, I think, because they're just such classic songs and they're great. So yeah, overall I really quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. For me it was more the comedy side rather than the serious side. Like, I'm not completely sure what exactly they were trying to show, because I did some background reading on the show, and apparently it really was a very tough time in Dublin at the time, and like unemployment was really high and people were struggling all the time, and I'm not sure if that came across very well in the show, but the humour was definitely there, and I mean I enjoyed it for what it was, which in my opinion was humour, fun, and just great music. So yeah, it is a jukebox musical. The story is not that exciting, quite predictable, but it has some great music and it has a really, really good cast. And it's Irish, so, you know, that obviously makes it really good. Overall, I really enjoyed The Commitments, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again. In fact, I really quite like to go and see it again at some point, to see Ian as Deco, hopefully maybe in the next few months sometime. And yeah, I'm very happy that I somehow managed to see the show so randomly and so suddenly. It was quite weird to go back to the Palace Theatre as well, because I hadn't been inside that theatre since Singing in the Rain last year, and as some of you may know, Singing in the Rain was one of my favourite shows, and I loved that production of it at the Palace Theatre. So it was kind of weird to go back inside that theatre, but yeah, I'm glad I got to see the show, and if you've seen the show as well, feel free to leave comments and let me know what you thought of the show, and just if you have anything to add to my comments about the show, I'd love to hear them. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!